What's different this time for XRP as we look to enter what seemingly looks like a bull market right now as Bitcoin is surging? We have the most pro crypto narrative across the board, not just for XRP, but for all cryptos. I think a lot of alts out there in the marketplace, there are a lot of strong narratives. We have seen a lot of dominoes fall in our direction. And in this video, we're going to talk about why it's different for XRP this go around. So happy Mother's Day for all you watching. If you guys haven't done so, though, make sure you all like, comment, and subscribe right down below. Let's get into this discussion and talk about what's going on with XRP and why it's different this go round. Before we get down into it a little deeper, let's talk about the market right now. What a move for Pi, a little bit of an outlier here, up almost 50% on the day. But let's get into the XRP conversation. Still fourth in market cap, sitting behind Tether. I don't really consider that a lagging number. I don't consider stablecoins in the top rankings for cryptos out there, but XRP $2.35. So if you've been watching my stuff, we've been buying XRP below $2. That's kind of the mindset that I've had. And I think, if you go back to a video I made about last week, if I recall correctly, I said that this potentially, and I know it's cliche at times, but potentially we may not get these opportunities where XRP dips below $2 ever again. And this has been a very strong move. We got almost as high as $2.50, up to $2.46 in the kind of evening hours yesterday, as we've since kind of sold off a little bit. But I do think that this is a narrative to continue. And as these trade talks with China and what Trump's doing from an administration standpoint, I think that we're going to see some settling of the dust, and that's where we're going to regain kind of full speed ahead for crypto as we once had towards the end of 2024. So we may be having that $3 XRP conversation pretty shortly once again. All right. And we really haven't even unveiled all of the things that XRP does for a day-to-day utility, real-world use case, all that good stuff. But let's get into the market, guys. And if you are looking to buy XRP, okay, trade on BTCC. This is kind of my, exchange that I've been using 14 plus years in the industry. If you are a leverage trader, BTCC available for most clients. I think there's some stipulations in the UK, but if you are in the United States, you can trade spot and leverage with BTCC. Links down below. They do have some cash back within kind of what they have to offer. As well as some promotional contests within their volume competitions that they are running. Some very good promotions from time to time. But if you want to start trading on BTCC, check them out. Use my link down below and get started trading today. But why is it different for XRP this time? Okay. Well, an analyst out there in the market insisting that this cycle has a different outlook for XRP as we've maintained a trend line that in previous years has always led to declines. So we need to get into this narrative because if you are buying XRP, and I'll never tell you guys to buy or sell a crypto, it's not financial advice, just telling you guys my thoughts and opinions in the market. And I am very bullish on XRP. I've always said I've considered it as a different crypto, right? I talk about a lot of crypto, but XRP, in my opinion, is in its own category. And this is something as we look in this analysis, as Bitcoin reclaimed 1,000, Ethereum pushing over 2,500, and XRP looking at that uptick that we've had, right? And that's the lower end of the $2 level. Okay, so where we're at right now in the 230s, that's what you can kind of see. But I think that we look at the rebound that we've had, XRP is still maintaining this extremely bullish position. That's what we've seen. And this is coming out from an analyst, a guy on Earth, in the latest commentary, confirming that the altcoin has continued to hold above a crucial horizontal trend line that I'm going to bring up for you guys right here on your screen. And we'll kind of look into kind of what we have going on. And we are going to kind of dabble into kind of the chart here, and I'll talk to you guys about what I'm seeing here real quickly. Let me pull it up for y'all, and that's where we're going to go full screen and get into the XRP conversation a little deeper, okay? And this is where we're going to look at the XRP chart, full screen mode, and you can see kind of what I'm talking about, all right? So we have, if you want to kind of space it out and look at it from a perspective right here, this is where we're approaching this trend line where me personally, I know we've been on a downward move dating back to January of 2025. And if you want to look at it like that, sure, a little bit of a descending triangle, but that trend line that I just drew, that horizontal line that you can see on your screen, and that's where XRP sits at $2.50. Okay, getting above that is the crucial move, because that is where it's going to be very hard for bears and bulls to decide what's going to happen. That's where we're going to need some trading that does suggest some bullish tailwind. I think that to cross off this data point from March, early on the 2nd of March, you saw this huge green candle where we got wicking up over to $3 before hitting resistance. I think we're kind of in that same boat, okay? And this is where this run, albeit we did sell off a little bit later in the early morning after around 5 o'clock Eastern, that we did approach that $2.50 territory. I think that XRP set up very well here because we are on an upward swing. If we do sell off, I think we go back to $2, we bounce up again. And I think that XRP is trading very nicely, waiting for the more broader moves. And we haven't even had some of the steam that I'm talking about. The XRP ETFs, the XRP conversation within the United States government, and even just that worldwide adoption where eventually we do want to kind of get into the narrative that XRP one day may replace the SWIFT banking system. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking at. I want to talk about XRP though. I think that the like I said, that $3 level, that's about right here. That's kind of where we look into getting to that level, and then we really have to make a decision. Okay, is this just a pump fake, or is XRP here to stay? And is this where we're going to continue this move up into the green? And that's kind of the conversation and the obvious that I do lend towards. Okay, but once we start, we saw that back in November in 2024, and even early on as we look into January of 2025. It's very much something that I think is in the cards. I think that XRP, from when we started, this is the low point back in the early part of April. I think XRP has that trajectory right now that we can just continue this. And I don't always pump sunshine, but I will tell you guys, XRP, the chart looks healthy. It looks very bullish. And that's kind of how I feel about it. All right. But back into the news, this is where we look at that horizontal trend line at $2. You want to talk about kind of where that lends towards. This is right here. And that's where I drew that for you guys for context because back in March of 2017, this is where we did explode from the 0.05 level to the all-time high of $3.80 in 1 year, a little bit less than a year actually. But there was a lot of resistance at its peak. That's where we kind of crossed over that $2 level. But when we did have that psychological threshold of $3, okay, that's something where you broke down, and then we did flip into a lot of resistance, and that's something where you look into the maintaining of these levels. Okay, and that was just a 1 month. So we had about a 30-day run where XRP was able to do that. However, the article and the reason why we're talking about it is this time is different. Okay, and I'm going to share with you guys kind of why. I'm going to pull it up on your screen once again, and you can see kind of why we're going to talk about this. So the data that's being pointed to from Guy on Earth, okay, this is something where we look into the fact that Donald Trump has been victorious. Now the president of the United States, the momentum is there. The overall crypto conversation that we're having, the broader market at hand, I think that since then we've had kind of the first time that we've maintained that horizontal trend line for 5 months now. And that goes into the conversation that I was telling you guys. Anytime it would drop below that trend line, coincidentally, I was scooping up some XRP sub $2. All right. And now as we look into this, as we hold $2, that's something that's not a bad thing. Okay. Personally, I think it's kind of a good thing because we're showing that we can show some strengths, especially when there's a lot of times of volatility, a lot of time of fear. And right now, as we have that fear and greed index sitting above 70, this is where we start getting bullish. All right. And from this is kind of where we look at the potential if we continue to maintain this above $2. And I think right now you cannot really put an XRP price prediction. You cannot really get into that analysis. Personally, I think that right now that you look into the potential that we've never had the bull run. We've never had the SEC off our back. And then right now, as the market stands, if XRP hits $3, $4, $5, or even some of the bullish XRP price predictions, $10, that's kind of where my head's at, right? I don't think this is something that's going to go away. I think that we're just getting started, and that's just kind of how I want to put a bow on this video, because I am super bullish on XRP. That's why we talk about it every day on the channel. And yeah, so let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Where does this all end? When do we end? I don't think that there really is an end in sight. I think we're going to keep kind of following the news, staying up to date with the headlines and reacting to the markets accordingly. But for right now, I think it's all systems go. We'll see what happens. As always, we know crypto is extremely volatile. We can have, all of this stopped and halted and changed right on a drop of a dime. But for those of us out there watching, wondering how high can XRP go, this is a little bit different this go round for a couple reasons. No SEC pressure, and also we've kind of surpassed that 1 month, 30-day window where we did hold that $2 trend line. It's been about 5 months now. So that just looks to me that XRP is begging to break out, in my personal opinion. Okay. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'll leave you guys with that. Like I said, drop me a comment down below. I'll try to respond to you all. It's not financial advice. Please remember so. And always, if you do want to start trading on BTCC, that link is right down below. Check out what they have to offer. And I appreciate you guys all tuning in. Have a great rest of your weekend. Appreciate it. And we'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.